Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 2 of Blue is Live. I'm your host, Tanner Blue. First off, I want to say thank you guys so much for anyone that participated and enjoyed the first episode of my new podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, supporting. It really means a lot. We actually jumped up 15 subscribers on the channel, so I'll take that. Let's see if we can do 15 more with this next episode that we're doing here. We've got a big show today. We've got talk about Lamar Jackson. Is he top 10 quarterback or not? We've got NFL uniform talk. Lots of new alternate uniforms, helmets, all that good stuff going on. We got Cam Smith potentially going to live golf after winning the British Open. And then we've also got Kyler Murray, new contract extension, just signed with the Cardinals. We're going to see what that means for them in their future. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start with this Lamar Jackson topic here first. So Jeremy Fowler of ESPN comes out with an article, and if you have ESPN Plus, you can access a lot of this stuff, I believe. He's doing like a top ranking of each position, and they did a top 10 for the quarterbacks. So I'm going to go down the list of the top 10 quarterbacks that he has ranked in the NFL, and I think this is going off NFL executives and scouts and management, whoever they think is the top 10 quarterbacks in the league so far at this current moment. So let's go into the list here. Number 1, we've got Aaron Rodgers. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes. Number 3, Josh Allen. Number 4, Tom Brady. Number 5, Joe Burrow. Number 6, Matthew Stafford. Number 7, Justin Herbert. Number 8, Russell Wilson. Number 9, Deshaun Watson. Number 10, Dak Prescott. So those are what the league is considering the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL at the moment. Now, Bernard Pollard, who was a former NFL safety, played for the Ravens. He had a couple stints with some couple teams, so he played for the Ravens, was a solid starter, won a Super Bowl on that team. He chimed in on Twitter when asked, he was asked, I guess, or he just chimed in on his own, hey, what do you think about Lamar Jackson? He was left off this top 10 list. He's on your Ravens team. What do you think? Is he a top 10 quarterback? Lamar being left off that list, essentially what Bernard Pollard said, and there's a series of tweets going on in this thing, so I'm going to try to keep up as best I can, basically said that he was a top 10 talent, but not a top 10 quarterback. So, there's a couple tweets here that they went back and forth, him and Lamar Jackson. Basically, Bernard Pollard saying, no top wide receivers want to come play with Lamar Jackson. There were plenty available in the offseason, and nobody wanted to go, though. Lamar coming back at him saying, you sound dumb. Says he's been capping. That's never good. Says he's been capping. Never heard of you playing for the Ravens. You got your Super Bowl because of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. They're jawing back and forth. Basically, Bernard Pollard saying Lamar Jackson is a great talent, but he's not able to make certain throws that puts him in that top 10 category. Lamar is saying he had to Google Bernard Pollard because he never heard of him before. It's just really funny seeing guys going back and forth on Twitter. He even made some comments about his Bernard Pollard put up a little video of him back in college. Doing a hit stick, I guess, laying somebody out, and Lamar says, bruh, got a 6-second college highlight. You mad? For I wish I played against you. I would have thrown the ball to the coach and ran straight at yo sorry ass Bernard. So they go back and forth. It's really funny. But yeah, essentially Bernard Pollard saying that, hey, you're a top 10 talent, but you're not a top 10 quarterback. And he would go on to say that he wishes the best for Lamar Jackson and hopes that he gets the bag, hopes he gets paid this season or next for a contract extension. I know that's been big talk for the Ravens and what they're going to do with him. Lamar gets a lot of criticism from people based on his ability and his play. And I got to say this, and I know this is going to sound a little redundant, maybe a little homerish, but this is the best example I can think of. Lamar Jackson now reminds me of a young Cam Newton in his career. Obviously, me being a Panthers fan, I watched that happen. It's very similar. The offense is being tailored around Lamar's strengths, which is running the football. This is a very heavy run team because Cam could run the football. They had a really good running game. They had multiple backs that they would use, and they had a strong defense. This is very similar to what's going on in Baltimore, where you've got a heavy running attack. You've got J.K. Dobbins, you got some other guys in the backfield, and obviously you got Lamar Jackson, who just won the MVP, 2 years ago? We haven't seen the success in the playoffs yet, but looking at this top 10 list, I don't think Bernard Pollard is wrong. I mean, I think you could very easily put Lamar Jackson at 11. But at the same time, I think you look at this list, you could easily put him 9 or 10. The top 5, 6 are pretty much solidified. Let's look at 7 through 10. Justin Herbert. I like Herbert a lot. I think he's got all the talent in the world. He looks phenomenal. A lot of the things he's done. Hopefully he can get to the playoffs. I know the AFC's tough. I want to see him, develop a little bit more, but I think he's a tremendous talent. Is he number 7 yet? It's tough. He hasn't won an MVP. He's put up some really great stats. He's close. I think he's in that 8 to 10 area, maybe not 7 for me. Russell Wilson, I think that's a pretty solid choice. Russell's always been top 10 quarterback, close to it ever since he's entered the league. Obviously a Super Bowl champion. He's going to be in Denver. I think he's going to have a really good season. Deshaun Watson. Now, keep in mind, we are not talking about the off-the-field stuff going on with Deshaun Watson. We're talking about Deshaun Watson, the player on the field. To me, I think people are forgetting just kind of how good he was. And again, I'm not talking about the off-the-field stuff. I'm talking about on the field. I think Deshaun Watson was an elite talent at quarterback. And depends what's going to happen this season if he's going to play or not. But that was... he was doing some stuff that, a lot of quarterbacks weren't doing. He's an effective runner. He's also got amazing accuracy. He's got a hell of an arm. I think that's fine saying he's a top 10 quarterback. Number 10 is where I have a little bit of a problem. I actually like Dak Prescott. I do. In the beginning, I thought he was extremely overrated, but he's proven me wrong. I know Cowboys fans say, obviously we had the thing with the playoffs last season with the run, but there we're talking about general consensus of play. I think Dak has done a pretty good job, but I could also see where you could put Lamar Jackson here. I think he does things that a lot of quarterbacks can't do with his legs, and to me, he's a little bit better of a thrower than Cam Newton was. Cam Newton had a hell of an arm. He had a cannon. Accuracy, questionable at times, but I think Lamar is a little bit more accurate. I think he's a little bit smarter with the football in terms of plays that he makes throwing. But they're two different types of runners. Lamar is all speed, jukes, moves, elusive. Cam was more of a, he was fast, but he could run you over too, and he would push you to the ground. So, and he could run it up the middle, just like a running back. So, it's tough. I would see Lamar. I could see maybe flipping Justin Herbert or Dak Prescott. Maybe even Deshaun Watson. Those 3 are interchangeable. I think you could put Lamar somewhere in there. I think he's being underrated just a bit. And I still have a lot of faith in Lamar Jackson. I know the success hasn't really been there in the playoffs yet. But, I like the point that Bernard Pollard brings up saying that, wide receivers don't want to come play here. Do we know if that's actually true or not? Obviously, Hollywood Brown wanted to leave and got a trade because that just didn't fit his scheme, his style of play, because it's a heavy run offense. He really wasn't, getting the ball. I can see what he's going with that point, but at the same time, I think if Lamar did have a legitimate number 1 or a very strong number 2, that he could do some nice things. And I think that it was the same thing in Carolina. I mean, we never really had, outside of Greg Olsen, we had, Steve Smith later on in his years. We never really got that top tier target for Cam. And people would say, oh, maybe guys didn't want to play with him. It's tough to say if that's true or not. But as far as Lamar being a top 10 quarterback, I think he's right at that 9-10 area. I would put him in. I would. And I think that, we're going to see some success in the playoffs here in the next couple seasons. I really hope we do. I like Lamar Jackson a lot. I like his playing style. And, just because he really reminds me of Cam Newton early on in his career. So, Bernard Paul, I don't think he's wrong, but I don't think Lamar is not top 10 either. I think there's a fine line between there, what you could pick and choose and what you would say. So, and if I had to pick any given day, if I had to pick him versus Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott in their primes, who am I building a franchise with for the next 10 years? To me, it's going to be a toss-up between either Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson. Just because I think Justin Herbert is an elite passer of the football, and his vision, his decision-making, his accuracy, his arm, is top tier. We want to see a little bit more success, which I think will happen. The Chargers have a very good team, and I think the AFC is tough, but I think they will make a nice run at things. And then Lamar, the athleticism and the ability to do things. People say, "Oh, you're a quarterback, you can run and you can do these things." That's fine, but what are you going to do when it comes down to it? In between the head, throwing the football, making accurate decisions when it's crunch time in the fourth quarter. And I think Lamar, he has shown he can do that. I think some people leave that up to debate, but it'd be a toss-up between those two because they both do different things so well. You've got an offense that's tailored strictly to Lamar's ability, but that, to me, that's smart coaching to some degree. I know some people have problems with the offensive coordinator, but at the same time, you got a guy who can run a certain offense, tailor it to him. That's what always kind of held the Panthers back in some respects. They would tailor an offense around Cam, but they wouldn't put the pieces around him to make it successful. And to me, that's what held him back a little bit. So, interesting debate there. I will say Lamar is top 10. I could see him being on the outside, but I could also put him in that 8, 9, 10 area somewhere in there, in my opinion. So next topic. It is being reported by a couple sources. Now, when TMZ reports this, they're usually right, which is weird because TMZ is, a lot of sensationalism, but I will give them this. They are pretty dead accurate when it comes to making reports about certain things. According to TMZ Sports, Cam Smith from the PGA Tour and the new British Open champion, congrats to him, he played an amazing round, is closing in on a deal to join Live Golf. The deal is reported to be around $90 million from what I've seen. Now, we don't know if this is confirmed yet. Right now it's being reported that it is going to happen, but we've heard about this all week, but I have not heard a concrete, yes, Cam Smith, the player, is going. So right now this is just speculation. But let's say that this is true. First off, Cam Smith just won the British Open. Played a great round of golf all 4 days. And he's a good young player. He's been in contention for almost every major this year, or a lot of them. And he just has kind of faltered at the end a little bit. So it was nice to see him, finish strong. And he ended up beating the PGA Tour's golden boy, Roy McIlroy, which was I thought was interesting. And it's going to be even more interesting if he goes to Live Golf. His last statement is, "Hey, I'm beating the PGA's poster boy, and then I'm going to Live Golf with the major and the money." That's interesting to me. So what will the PGA Tour do now? Let's say he does go. At first it was a couple guys here and there. Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, guys that are high level players, but they're a little bit older. And then you got Koepka, DeChambeau, couple younger guys. And now a guy like Cam Smith, who is just won the British Open, a younger talent that the PGA Tour needs because, to me, they need guys they have plenty of great young golfers like Victor Hovland and Cam Smith and some other guys here and there. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but Xander Schauffele, guys like him, they need guys that can draw. And what I mean by that is a lot of these golfers are fantastic players, but they're very vanilla and standard, very cookie cutter look. Not saying that's anything against them, that's just who they are. But they're not necessarily draws to the sport. So if we see a guy like Cam Smith, who, he's from Australia, he's got the mullet, he's got a little bit of a personality, he's a good golfer, it gives the fans a little bit of an incentive to want to tune in and maybe watch this guy, follow his round, go to an event, watch him. You start losing these guys. It's one thing if they're not playing on tour, but it's also a thing where you're losing, guys that you can really mold your sport around and advertise for. Obviously the most marketable and successful golfer in terms of appeal has been Tiger Woods. There's no doubt about that. What made him appealing? He was a young guy. He had a little bit of a personality. He was, to me, the best golfer of all time. Top tier talent. And he had all the Nike sponsorships, the commercials, the video games. He had all that to go with it. So not only are they losing guys that are good golfers, they're losing guys that are sponsors, guys that can mold the sport around. People when they draw into sports, they want to see good players, but they want players that they can get invested in. They want players that they can really get behind. And PGA is losing these guys. They're losing good players, but they're also losing guys that are marketable and that people can invest themselves in. And that's tough. So what is the PGA Tour going to do? It's been an absolute onslaught of words between the Live Tour and PGA Tour, between Greg Norman and the guys at the PGA Tour. It's split down 50-50 what you think. People say, oh, they're using blood money. The Saudis aren't good people, taking their money and then just disregarding morals and values of the United States, whatever. And then you've got the other half, people who say, okay, that's fine. People do that in politics all the time. It's not talked about. And these guys are just trying to make the best financial decision that they can. And I've seen people say, okay, well, the players put out these statements saying, this is good for the game of golf. It's good for me. I get the chance to do blah, 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 blah. We all know it's about the money. And, I don't expect them to come out right there and just say that. It would be nice, but it would also make them kind of look like an asshole in a sense. But I understand why they're not just coming out and saying, hey, I am taking this for the money. Point blank. That's essentially the case. But, Cam Smith, it's just interesting. A guy can come in, win the British Open, and then just maybe go to Live Golf and take the money. I just had this conversation last week on the podcast. Would you rather be a young guy to win a major, or would you rather go get the bag? He's got the opportunity to do both. He just won the major. Now he can go get the money. And then at some point, there's going to have to be some sort of reconciling between Live Golf and PGA Tour because, I don't know how deep their pockets go and how much they can keep paying because eventually, you've got to get the money back by people watching your sport. And I'm talking about Live Golf. You've got to get people that are going to, I don't think they have a TV deal. I'm not sure if they do. I'm sure they got to secure something like that, especially with these top level players that they have. But eventually, we got to see something happen there between the two leagues because, they want to talk about what's better for golf. But right now you got two places that are divided. And one's just taking all the talent with all the money and just saying goodbye to everybody else. And the PGA Tour, they look kind of bad right now. They do. And I'm here for whatever's going to make the sport better. I'm here for it. Everyone just wants to see some good golf happen. And if Cam Smith does go to the Live Golf Tour, then hey, that's the best financial opportunity for him. Plus, he's going to be taking that British Open championship with him, and we'll see if he'll be playing next year. Another topic I wanted to touch on because me personally, I'm a big jersey swag. It's a weird way of saying it. Fanatic. I love watching jerseys, alternate uniforms, whatever you may call it, on teams. I'm a fan of that. I like seeing, what kind of uniform designs teams can come up with, whether it be new, whether it be throwbacks, whether it be somewhere in between either sport. When a new uniform gets announced, I'm all over it. I just like that part of the sport. To me, that's what resonates with fans and viewers about, hey, this is how we identify with this team. Hey, I like this team because of their uniforms. I like this team because of the color that they have. I like this team because of that. I mean, jerseys have become iconic the last 30, 40 years. I mean, you see someone walking down the street with a jersey, you identify with that person because you say, hey, they watch this sport. They like this player. They like this color. They like this uniform. So that's it's a big deal. So, the NFL announced that they announced it last season, but this season it's effective, is that teams can now have alternate helmets. Now, they had this all the way up until 2013, I believe. Then they discontinued it because they wanted to have players wear the same helmets. You can't have both because we want the same sort of security for helmets, the same structure, because they just wanted to avoid concussions. I understand it, but at the same time, I think it's kind of a dumb rule, so I'm glad they changed it. So I've got a list down here of some new jerseys, helmets, uniforms in the NFL. It's getting interesting because the NFL for a long time has been labeled the no fun league, but now things are starting to get a little fun in terms of what the players are going to be wearing. So I'm going to go down the list here, some of the stuff we have confirmed. If I miss something that's not been confirmed, put it down in the comments below. I'll comment on it and I'll talk about it. This is just everything I was able to find. And some of these might not even be confirmed yet. This is just what I've seen and what we might be speculating for is what they're going to wear this season. So we'll start with the Panthers for obvious reasons. They come out with the all black helmet. I love it. I think it's great. In the inner circles of Panther fandom, we've been talking about this for 10, 12 years about getting black helmets. I don't mind the silver helmets that we have now, but I think black just looks so cool. I think there's a couple modifications they can make to it to make it look better. I like it for the most part. I think maybe add a white strip in there or something like that, or on the logo. The logo almost blends in with the helmet. It's kind of tough to see. But another thing about these uniforms is you might not like them or you might like them now, but it all depends how it looks on the field when you see it. That's going to be what's important. So I think for the most part, it's a really good choice. I like it. People say they wanted to stick forever and get rid of the silver uniforms. We'll see what happens there. But I do like this combination. I'm happy as a Panthers fan. Even if we don't end up being very good this season, I'm very thankful that we have black helmets now. I can get behind that. Thank you. The Bengals going with the all-white combo with the all-white helmets. I have mixed emotions about this. I like the concept, but when I look at it, it's just too much white going on. I need a little tint of orange in there somewhere. I could be wrong. I could be in the minority saying this. I think it's a good look, but I have people saying online and looking, hey, this is the flat out the best combination in the NFL. I disagree. But I do like the concept. I just want to see maybe a little tint of orange, maybe a one or two orange stripes here and there to kind of get a variation of colors, because the all white and black, it's just very there. It's bland. I like the concept. I just think they could modify it to make it better, such as the Panthers. I like the concept. I like it. There's things they can do to tweak it to make it a little bit better, but for the most part, I like the Bengals white helmets, but I think they could do better in a way. The Giants have their 80s, 90s Lawrence Taylor era stuff. I think that looks great. It's fantastic. I'm a big fan of throwback jerseys when done properly, and to me, that was the best way for them to go. A+ for the Giants. It's going to look great. I can't wait to see them wear it. Patriots doing the red throwbacks, the Pat the Patriot, however it goes, with the white helmets. I think it's a good look. I like it. I would have liked to see them maybe do their like 90s throwbacks possibly, but I think this is a more iconic look that most fans are familiar with. So it'll be nice to see this. We haven't seen this since like 2010. I remember Tom Brady when he had kind of like longish hair playing with these uniforms. So I think it's going to look good. I can't wait to see that. The Falcons coming out with their red helmet. I think that's great. Hopefully they do the old school logo with it as well. I think that logo actually helps make the helmet better. But I do like that. The Panthers will debut their black helmets against the Falcons on a Thursday night game at home. So let's see if they'll do the black helmets there and the Falcons will do their red helmets, and we'll have a mixed match of both and see how that looks. But for the most part, I like the Falcons red helmets. I think it's a good look. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but the Titans are working on the Oilers throwbacks coming back. That's everybody's almost unanimous favorite. Almost is the Orioles throwbacks, or excuse me, the Oilers, not the Orioles. That's gonna look great if they announce that. It's a very simplistic look. The powder blues with the red, top tier. It looks great. Can't wait to see it. To me, my favorite one so far, other than the Panthers, obviously, has been the Eagles Kelly Green throwbacks. That's going to look fantastic. They used to wear those back in the day. They were great. I like the eagle on the front of the helmet. I think that's awesome. And then just something about that color green, just it works. It looks so good. And I can't wait to see the Eagles wear that. In no way am I an Eagles fan, but I think their jerseys are really, really nice, and I can't wait to see this. This is going to look good. The Tampa Bay Bucks coming back with their creamsicle jerseys. For some reason, people absolutely adore these. I think they're not the best looking at all, and I think it's more of those, I could be wrong, but I think it's one of those so bad it's good, because when they wore these jerseys in the 70s, they were a historically bad football team, but at the same time, it's a historic look in a way, so I get it. I won't mind seeing it, but I don't think it's this crazy look that a lot of people seem to think it is. But hey, Tom Brady in a creamsicle jersey, what more can you ask for? We'll see how it looks. The Titans going with the all-red helmet. At first, I did not like this idea. When I first saw that, I was like, why would they do that? That just too much red, too much going on. No way. But I started to think about it. They're going to do it with their all-red rush uniforms, I believe. And I think this could be a good look. I actually like the look of the helmets. It's like a glossy look. And I think they got the color right in the texture. So when they wear this, the Titans, they're trying to establish a little bit of an identity. They're going through a rebuild. So, I think this could look nice. It could go south, but I think this actually might win some people over when they see it on the field. At first, the first look I had of it, I was not a fan. But looking at it now, I think this will be a good look. Saints black helmet. This might be my least favorite. And no, it is not because I strongly dislike the Saints. Just from a look perspective, it's just, the Saints, they have black in their color scheme. That's fine. I understand that. But the gold helmet is just, that's legendary. And so, they want to do something different, but just the way it's presented, it just looks very basic. It just looks like they just flip-flop the color black, and it's just there. And then on the above the head, where usually the stripe is going to be above the helmet, it's like a stripe, but it's formatted where it's the little Saint logos, making a line all the way down the back of the helmet, up and down the side, or up and down the top of it. And it just looks weird. Maybe it's going to look better on the field. I guess they're going to wear them with their all-white uniforms with the gold, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. I like when they wear their all-blacks, but they love wearing the all-whites. I don't know. I'm going to have to see this on the field, but from a look perspective, from the pictures I've seen, I just was not a fan of this. It just seemed kind of boring to me. Cowboys rocking their Thanksgiving throwbacks with. I'm assuming they're going to be wearing the jerseys with it too. But the white helmets with the blue star in the middle, it just rest in peace to Marion Barber. It's very reminds me of him playing football. So that's a good look. The Cowboys, they're one of those teams with the historic classic uniforms. They wear the same thing, almost the same uniform almost every game. They'll throw in the blue ones here and there, but I think it's a good look. I like it. It's I am no way a Cowboys fan, but I do like the look of that. And then right before I hopped on this show, there was a new one that dropped. It is the Jets Stealth Black. Why? This was a terrible decision. Now, I don't think it looks bad, but when you look at the throwback helmet that they could have went with the classic Jets logo versus this new one, it just is a complete disservice to the fans, and they could have had something really cool to wear this year, but it looks like that's not going to happen. So why? It's everyone's going with the black helmet, and I've heard it from each team that does it. You're trying to be like this. You're trying to be like that. Some teams have that in their color scheme, and for some teams it looks really good. It does. Not here. I don't like it. And I think it sucks. If I was a Jets fan, I'd be pretty fired up because we're not getting those throwback classic Jets helmets and uniforms this year. Unless they end up doing that. I doubt it now, though. And I actually did a quick look online. The owner, Woody Johnson, was doing polls on Twitter asking about which helmet do you like better? Do you like the throwback? Do you like this? Do you like that? And the unanimous was the 80s, 90s Jets classic look. And they just did not do that for whatever reason. So they're going to be wearing them with their all black uniforms. Maybe they'll do a mix match. It'll look better with some stuff. But I just think it's a very big missed opportunity for me. So that's what we have pretty much confirmed so far. I would imagine there's going to be more coming out. Each team's kind of doing their own thing. I'm sure there'll be black helmets. The Raiders, I think that's going to come, and I think that's going to look great. Everybody keeps talking about the Raiders need black helmets. The Raiders need black pants. Blah, 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 blah. I think it's going to happen. There's no way it doesn't. So we'll see. Yeah, this is what we have confirmed now. I think my favorites out of those has got to be the Panthers black helmet. I like the Giants throwbacks. I like the Eagles Kelly Green. I'm not going to be a huge fan unless I change my mind of the Jets. Not a huge fan of the Saints black helmet. And the Tampa Bay Bucks creamsicle, it's there. It is what it is. But, it's something different. At the worst, I'm glad the NFL is lightening up their personality and letting players and teams kind of, do some stuff. Because at the end of the day, that's a lot more money that they can make by selling the merchandise for this stuff. It's a no-brainer. We all know it's about the money at the end of the day. So, just do it. Why not? So the last topic I want to touch on today before we get out of here is Kyler Murray signing a deal, an extension, with the Arizona Cardinals. 5 years, $230 million, $230.5 million. 160 of that is guaranteed. It's going to work out to about $46 million a year. What are my thoughts on this? What are my thoughts on Kyler Murray? Personally, I like Kyler Murray. I do. I think he's got a lot of flack because of the postseason he had against the Rams last year. It was atrocious. But I can't put all that on him. I mean, it just happened so quick. They had some guys that were injured, and the Rams went on to win the Super Bowl that year, obviously. So they just got absolutely demolished, pancaked by them. It was an overall embarrassing performance from the whole team. Yes, he did some dumb stuff that really cost them that game, but they weren't going to win that game. They weren't going to win that game at all. So, and you have to look at a point last year. I think they were 7-1, until some injuries. He got injured a little bit. D-Hop got injured. They had J.J. Watt was injured. I mean, they had guys that were out. So, you're not going to find many young quarterbacks that are on that top 15 area that are still young and can still develop and get better. What other options do the Cardinals have? I think they would be stupid to trade them. And I think that was a little bit of a talk this offseason. It didn't happen. But, I think if you're a Cardinals fan, I'm not a diehard. I haven't sat and watched a ton of Kyler Murray film. I'm only going based on what I've seen, what I know, and what the general thought is. But I like Kyler. I think he can get better. I think there's been questions about his leadership, his motivation. Is he really there? Is he this? I didn't think Kyler Murray was going to be all that good in the NFL, and I was wrong. Because the first half of the season, he was probably the NFL MVP. And then they kind of tampered off and fell off there at the end. But I like Kyler. I like what he brings to the table. I like his skill set. I think for his size, I don't mean to make this a height thing, but for his size, he's absolutely incredible. I thought that was going to hold him back in the NFL. Was I wrong? I was wrong. I like what he brings to the table. And I think if you're the Cardinals, you've got a good team. You got a very solid foundation. You made the playoffs last year. You're going to try to redeem yourself this year. You're getting Hopkins back. You're getting Watt back. You got some guys you brought in. The NFC is the weaker conference out of the two. So I think they'll be back in the playoffs. And I think Kyler's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, hearing what the media says. But now he's got his deal done. He's got his money. He's where he wants to be. So let's see it. Let's see it happen. He's got no excuses now. But for the most part, I do like Kyler Murray. I like what he brings to the table. I like his skill set. I think people are a little bit down on him just because of a bad playoff performance. Same way people were down on Lamar. He didn't have a great playoff performance. Not this season, but last season when they were a top seed. Let's give the guys a chance. Let's see what they can do. Good move by the Cardinals, and they made Kyler Murray a very rich man. So that's my thoughts on that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 2 of Blue is Live. I just want to say again, thank you to anyone that has supported me thus far. I've got tremendous feedback on things that they like, things I could get better at, and I'm just having a blast doing this. I love coming on. I just love talking sports with everybody. I love, hearing the feedback, hearing what you guys think about a certain situation, a certain move. And things are only going to get better from here. So, thank you for tuning in and thank you for supporting. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at MediosBlue. I'll put the stuff in the description. And go subscribe to our channel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, run this about 10, 15 episodes. And then I'm going to start doing a audio version that's going to be available where you can get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever you want to do. I just want to make sure I get the audio and everything running correctly before I make that commitment. So that will be happening here in the next month or so. And stay tuned. I do have some new stuff coming out that's not podcast based. I want to keep it under wraps. I want it to be a little bit of a surprise, but we're going to be taking a look at some stuff that I think you guys will like. So we get the podcast going. We'll have this new little show I've got going on the side, and then we'll see what else we can come up with. So thank you for following Blue Media Sports. This is Blue is Live, and we will see you next week.